Good morning, everyone. Real quick before I get started, I want to thank Richard, Andres, the entire Family Office Club team. I've been a member for right about 9 months right now, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying the experience, and I'm grateful to be here today. As Richard mentioned, my name is Patrick Moran. I'm the founder and CEO, co-founder and CEO of Pebble Life Science. One of the reasons I enjoy being in this room with folks like you is because we're all intelligent people who are able to process a lot of information quickly. So I am not going to be reading the slides to you today. Instead, I'm trying to approach from an educational point of view and bring value regardless of whether or not you all are focused in biopharma. And so these are the hows. We've made a pretty bold statement in our mission and the work that we do, and these are the hows that we've done it. We are deeply involved in avoiding the cardinal risk of overpromising and under-delivering. And in executing that, because there have been so many that have overpromised in the area of botanical medicine, that we have actually made the mistake of understating, underwhelming in the past and not fully communicating the work we do. So if I boil down these five into the core themes that apply to any business across any industry, and I will be referring to notes a little bit to stay on track. The four themes through these, and as I work through the deck, would be mission-driven collaboration, integrity, discipline, and honoring the work. So I'm gonna, as you guys pick this up, and we have 4 of our team members here today. We have a booth, we have a copy of this deck, we have more information. So as you all read through, if you wanna know more, stop by, but otherwise I'm gonna try and stick to this and see if I can bring something of greater value to you guys. So the first one, mission-driven collaboration. The more that we have focused on our work, the luckier that we have gotten. We did not solicit our relationship with MD Anderson or our key relationship with our clinical research organization partner, LumaBridge. They came to us through word of mouth based on the results that we had derived. And so overall, to date, we have executed, we are in our 15th case study. We have serviced a total of about 600 patients, but we've done 15 specific case studies. Our first case study group was a group, we started with Neurological in order to develop protocols over into oncology with an inflammatory through line. And so our first group were severe autistic children ages 5 to 12. And it was the results of these ongoing case studies and the data derived from them that attracted our chief science officer. She led us to MD Anderson. It was our pharmaceutical approach, our pharmaceutical rigor to botanicals that led to me doing talks at the Texas Medical Center that eventually led to introductions to LumaBridge and an engagement with the Cancer Prevention Institute of Texas. It was from that engagement and the preclinical results from our early MD Anderson work that we got to engage with the National Cancer Institute. We're sponsored by them for NIH into the Applicant Assistance Program. Now, we've gathered all that data together. We've put together optimized protocols over multiple, optimized protocol over multiple prototypes. And we have a protocol that we're executing now in a treatment-resistant ovarian cancer patient that is based on all the data that we've developed from 2018 to today. So that is the mission that has driven the collaboration. And this is another way to look at that, at how that collaboration comes together. So very simple triangle, the management, all of which are here today, are botanical experts, subject matter experts in and of themselves on both a regulatory and a genetics basis on generalized botanicals. On the research side, each of these folks are deeply involved with MD Anderson, Department of Defense, NIH, NCI. They have each individually created oncologic drugs that have gone through the process to market, and they have collaboratively worked together separate from Pebble to develop oncologic drugs. So it's a very exciting group that we're able to take our very specific skill set and complement with their very specific and accomplished skill set. From our board of directors and outside counsel, then we focused on patent experts in biopharma and M&A specialists, right? So we're very specifically constructed for the unique mission that we are executing. A little bit non-traditional, but still fitting within that biopharma template. And so that collaboration and that law of attraction, I believe in overlap of skill sets, but not redundancy. So each person has their own very specific role. There's some overlap and there's an ability to communicate with each other, but it is a puzzle piece for each of us. And that's how our collaboration aspect works. That is driven by integrity. We wouldn't have gotten very far. We've survived multiple extinction events as an early stage biopharma that left the botanical supplements world with a pen far, far away as a biopharmaceutical company that we wanted to become someday, and there was no path in between to botanical oncology. And so the only way that we have survived that is internal integrity, corporate integrity. It runs through the case studies. It runs through our early investors that date back to 2017 with this company. Those are the details of how we manage it there. The way that we express it internally is we fall up. So we make mistakes. We make mistakes as a team. We make mistakes as individuals within the team. Our sole purpose then is to identify the core truth individually, objectively, apply that into the situation, don't make the mistake twice. We do that as an institutional matter. I am from a farm family, an industrial farm family. We're 6 generations in since we landed here from Ireland on farming. I was raised with the idea that if you wouldn't eat it and put it on your table, we're not selling it to you. The way that that's expressed in Pebble and the way that we express that corporately is I am always the first guinea pig. The oncology case study that we're doing right now, she's taking a very specific protocol made up totally of 5 different agents that are plant-based. I was taking it months before her, and I continue to take it daily as she takes it. We walk that talk, and by the same token, we do the same thing with our investors. There's no skin in the game that we would ask anybody to take that we haven't applied ourselves. We think that's fundamentally important. The next one is honoring the work. So because we did have that point on the end of the map with no roadmap and just some vague templates to follow, the path that we have created has generated IP along the way. And so there's actually a quote that I love that I really embraced with this, and it's from a family office club adjacent person, actually, Martine Rothblatt. United Therapeutics, the mind behind SiriusXM. She once said, "Identify corridors of indifference and run down them like hell." And the day I heard that, I identified with that deeply. We have done that multiple times, and what I would humbly add to Martine's experiential wisdom is protect along the way as you go. The stuff that you figure out, the crossroads that you hit and have to choose left or right, that experience has value. That doesn't necessarily mean you're filing a patent every 2 weeks. It doesn't mean that you are filing something, but you are honoring the value of the potential that has been developed from that activity, from that decision, from that experience, and you want to protect it in some way to move forward. And so honoring that work, we're knowingly building out something novel, and we've protected it all the way through the supply chain, and that's led to both value creation and a way for us to continue to a well to pull from, for lack of a better metaphor. The last one, or the one that applies from the underlying themes, is discipline. And these next 2 slides, I'll kind of flip back and forth. This slide and that slide won't go back. There you go. This slide and the next slide are the process of our optimization. So we've been optimizing our formulation protocol for the last 2 years. We've effectively been engaged in the scientific method repeatedly. Our very first case study, as I mentioned before, were 7 children ages 5 to 7. So out of that group, and if you're familiar with PANDAS, if you're familiar with severe ASD, you're talking about seizure disorders, 30 to 60 seizures a day. For those of us who are parents, I'm the father of a 5-year-old daughter. The idea of my child, her brain stopping 30 to 60 times a day is a living nightmare. And so we take our work extremely serious. That first case study resulted in a child who got his first haircut without having to be strapped down for the first time in his life. One of our case studies, the parents heard their child go from nonverbal to verbal for the first time in their life. So we know the seriousness of what we're doing. The case study that we're doing now, you'll see the chart for in a minute, we have reversed the course of a treatment-resistant cancer that the oncologist said, wrap up your affairs, you have 6 months maximum left to live. And we have reversed that tumor, and we did it in 42 days with no adverse effects. We take our work extremely serious, and we apply a discipline that's appropriate to that through the work. That is how we have gone through this process and now landed at our ovarian cancer case study and the very specific protocol that we're doing to battle that. And so I'm now going to go to this next slide, and I chuckle a little bit because I get excited. I'm known internally as the TMI guy. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this chart today. I encourage you guys to get a copy, visit a copy. I do want to point out a couple of specific things because if I get excited, I'm going to get lost in the details. But what I want to make very clear and point out is that Pebble is outperforming 3 mainstay chemotherapies against platinum-resistant cancer today, right now. I spoke with the husband this morning, as a matter of fact, and as a matter of fact, they're not here, but we met through the Family Office Club. It's a small world. It's a God-driven world. What you'll also see is this hockey stick red line across the different colors is the 3 different chemotherapies not working against the adaptive cancer post-surgery, slowly destroying her immune system, and then going like a hockey stick straight up, replicating in her body. It had replicated from as much as 1,000% in 30 days to a minimum of 178% in 30 days. We applied Pebble. We got a window where she could no longer sustain the chemotherapy that was killing her and not killing the cancer. And so we got a no treatment window. We started the Pebble protocol. In 20 days, we flattened the curve. We had predicted internally that we had hoped to reverse within 3 to 6 months, and I was pleading with the husband at the time, give us 90 days. We flattened the curve by 87% in 20 days. We reversed the curve by 11% in another 22 days, 42 days total. We're now chasing the next data points. Clearly, this is not over. The mission is to save this woman's life and to get her back down to 0. But the results are compelling to date. And they are sending us back into the lab. We were already crossing out of our early stage development and into our clinical stage as a biopharmaceutical company, and that's where we're headed now. So replicate, 4Q23. The resources are in hand. The money is set aside. Everything is in the box for us to go back into MD Anderson, replicate through preclinicals with the optimized formula, 1Q24. We are on schedule right now, barring any preclinical delays, to enter formally our clinical phase 1, and we are going forward with a non-scheduled plant-based protocol that we are going to argue for the FDA approval as an OTC for post-surgery adjuvant as a prophylactic. So if you'd like to know more, I'm hoping I reserved a little time for Q&A if there is any. These are the faces. Our 4 faces there, Jay Lopez, Matt Gibbs, Travis Merchant, and Carsey Merchant. We have a booth today, and then available virtually is our Chief Science Officer from MD Anderson, Dr. Carola Leshner, and our Chief Financial Officer, Bill Kehoe. Hope to see you guys October 24th at the Mastermind with Richard, and otherwise I am gratefully done and would love to take any Q&A if there is any.
Thanks so much for the presentation. That's really interesting. I've got an 18-year-old with cancer, so I'm highly motivated to listen. Just on the hockey stick slide, is it my understanding that that person, I'll call it the matriarch, went from chemotherapy to where it's green, purely plant-based treatments?
Correct.
Okay.
There's a no treatment window of just over a month where she completely cycled out. And then we started, this was not planned, this was life's hand, whatever you want to refer to it. And then she went to the Pebble protocol, and we had 3 solid weeks before that first test. So that 16%, that 87% drop is based solely on our protocol. And these are all data points straight off the medical records. Yes?
What types of cancer are you treating?
We've identified through MD Anderson preclinical 7 solid tumor cancers based on documented synergies with the chemotherapies that are usually treated with them. I may mess this up from stage, but ovarian is our lead, breast, prostate, pancreatic, glioblastoma, which we have is about to, right, and we're actually about to kick off a case study with that, it looks like, colon, colorectal, CRC, and I'm missing one, but if you'll, melanoma.
Can you talk a little bit more about the ASD offerings you have? I have a young adult son on the spectrum.
Okay.
And so I'm very interested in the ASD offerings you guys have at this time.
So glad to talk to you in more detail if we run out of time. We've improved from the original protocol. The most simple answer from stage, and then we can deep dive, is that it's essentially lower doses of what we use for oncology. So I developed the original hypothesis for this. It's based on anti-inflammation. Severe neurological disorders and oncologic disorders have a through line of inflammation. So we isolated individual plant-based agents that were anti-inflammatory and then started cross-referencing them. There were 117,000 combinations. So we have an early neuro prototype that we know was very effective, and we could apply today, but where I would want to start is the more advanced ones because we've been hyper-focused on oncology. So we have more advanced ones that are far more effective in oncology, but have not been that we know is safe because it's from our original platform, but have not been tested on neurological cases. So that's where we would want to start, and then we could back up and add in agents if it were not as effective as we had hoped. We know the only thing, as you may already be aware, Epidiolex for Dravet syndrome is really the only approved drug. That in essence is cannabis-based CBD isolate. We specifically went after that to outperform, and MD Anderson demonstrated not a good word in bio. We demonstrated multiple times that we outperform the CBD isolate. So at a bare minimum, we've got a better shot than that, but there would be some details I'd want to talk to you about. So, yes, ma'am.
It's only through Anderson that your Pebble is available, or is it available all across the United States?
So our intent is FDA approval for OTC marketing, and we want it to be physician recommended as a post-surgery adjuvant to go before these chemotherapies. There's no if these data points hold, and they can replicate this at MD Anderson all the way to FDA approval, there's no rational reason why we should not be recommended ahead of where they're taking a pot shot anyway, if it's treatment resistant or not, ahead of the chemotherapies. So to answer your question specifically, we don't market or sell proactively, but we've had these very successful case studies, and so we have a 600-person customer base that buys off a quiet little website of an early prototype that we manufacture. So we can sell it to you through that. We're not trying to do that today. We just don't have the conscience to pull it off the market. So.
Join the Family Office Club by visiting familyoffices.com. We look forward to seeing you at our next live event.